I only recently got into Sergeant Frog, and it's the kind of show I wish we would have gotten here in Germany back in the day, because I would have been obsessed with it. Now I'm already a boomer and still got a bit obsessed with it because I watched way too many episodes of it in a really short amount of time. Maybe that's exactly why I connect so much with it, because it makes me feel like I'm right back in 2004, enjoying some comfy and funny wacky anime on TV after coming home from school. And for some reason the show feels just so insanely Ape Escape coded to me. I mean, Ape Escape also got an anime, but this one is just way better. Obviously a popular anime or manga also needs some games to farm the money out of kids who don't know better. Would Keroro ever scam actual kids? Well, yes, he would. He actually did it a couple of times. So I wanted to see if his games were worth it or if they would have made you cry if you got them. Let's start with the best. That's actually a lie, because I'm gonna start with the worst game. In this game you find a mistake in the bottom picture, that's it. I love those kind of little games, because they make me feel smart till they don't. At the start the difference is immediately seen, but the more you play the game the more you realize it's still easy to see, with a few exceptions. You think the worst thing about the game would be the shortness of it because I played through it in under an hour? No, it's not. Otherwise I would have to hate myself, since I am also short. And I don't hate myself, only on Sundays sometimes. Maybe it's the low resolution of the DS if I would actually play it on one, where you would have to really use the fullest potential of your eyeballs when you're already as old as me. No, it's also not that. It's them reusing the same puzzles from level 1 in level 2, and also level 3, and level 4, and so on. The first episode of it came out in April of 2004. This game came out 3 years later in September. That's a difference of 3 years. They already got almost 200 episodes out by that time. And you are telling me they have to reuse pictures in an already short game? Actually, you could do more than what they did with only even 10 episodes. Sure, sometimes reusing the same one is fine because you want to trick people and to make them think the mistake is the same, but this time it's a different one. But they really reuse them so often that it makes you think nobody gave a fuck and they wanted to rob little kids of their money with the least amount of effort possible, since that is the truth. The only somewhat cool thing about the game is them giving you boss stages where the mechanics change a tiny bit. Like having to blow into your DS to blow the balloons away to see the picture. I always wonder why it's called a blowjob, since you're not supposed to blow into someone's pee hole. Imagine if you would inflate someone's balls that way and make them pop. Would be more fun than this game. This is more like a browser game than an actual game you should pay for, or maybe pay $5 for it as a digital only release. Think about all those poor kids who got this game at full price and it was gonna be the only game they had for the near future. I miss going to flea markets and getting like 5 new Game Boy games in one go because you could get so many loose cartridges for $2 each. Those were the times. I'm biased since I love Finely Difference games, so I would say if you like those kind of games, I could actually recommend this, unless you're the type of person that does not emulate and has to pay, then do not buy it. If you bought it anyways and want to relieve yourself from some stress with your bad financial choices and don't want to touch yourself, you should grab the Battle Royale Z game for the PlayStation 2 so you can beat up the frogs in it. Back in the day and also nowadays, the easiest way to make a licensed anime game is to make a fighter out of it, in a classic 2D style or making an arena brawler. Nowadays most of them suck, and back then they also mostly sucked, but this one is full of soul, kinda. The only thing that was a bit weird is that they try really hard to sell you some merchandise. In other games you would unlock concept art and all that, and here you do unlock animations, some screenshots, but then also just tons of pictures of things you can buy for even more money. Or by wasting your money in a game center, probably. I wanna unlock some new characters when I beat the story or arcade mode a couple of times, not advertisements. Even if some of the stuff is really cute, I wish I had more money. It's also the first time I have used a cheat code in a long time, because if you press a button combination while Keroro talks in the background, you can hear a little jingle and you unlock everything at once, without having to play the game.
Keroro Gunso, Meromero Battle Royale Z.
It's only all the art stuff anyways, there's still no actual unlockable characters. It feels a bit weird to me, especially for back in the day. Nowadays it's the standard except for Smash, because people want to be able to jump straight into rank with any character they want and all that, but back then you grinded in arcade mode win with every character to see what you would get when winning, cool outfits, characters and more. The game came out pretty quickly after the anime, so it misses some of the later characters, but fear not, there's 2 versions of the game. You got the normal Battle Royale game, but then also Battle Royale Z that came out a year later. What they have changed, they added Paul, Momoka's butler, who easily could have been in the first game since people knew him at that point already. Same with Keroro and his Peko suit. No, not that Peko. Here humans are called Pekoponians and the Earth is Pekopon. In the manga it was Pokopen, but apparently that was a word to use to talk badly about the Chinese, so they changed it. Nothing bad ever happened between China and Japan after all. This message was sponsored by the Japanese government. But that's not all. They also added Kogoro 556, everyone's favorite loud dumb space detective and failed actor. At least it turned out well for his sister since she turned into a bunny cowgirl. And that's all. I really don't think you need to upgrade to this version if you already had the first one. It's full of references and all that, and one game mode even turns it into a classic 2D fighting game where you are only allowed to move from the left to the right or from the right to the left. You still have the same moves and everything, so it does not feel like it was made for it, but hey, I love silly little game modes like this. We really like game modes nowadays in video games. Back then, so many games had so many to choose from. Nowadays they are just timed events and get taken away from you because otherwise you would hear the classical excuse of how they take players away from the actual game modes the devs want you to use and play. I never personally was a big fan of Capture the Flag, but it's crazy to me how nowadays it's just kinda gone in most games. Back in the day every first person shooter had it. When I was young I always wanted to be a game reviewer, so I could say the famous words of "For fans it's worth taking a look, for everyone else you better wait for sale or skip it." I have heard and read those words so many times when gaming magazines still existed, and I watched the articles on the DVD that this phrase burned itself into my mind. But to games like this it really applies well, especially if you're a big Power Stone fan, then this should be right up your butt. Colorful little brawler that reminds you of the past, just don't get stuck in it. For the next game we have to go back to the DS again, because somehow this frog really loved this little handheld. And this time it's a JRPG. One that will maybe surprise you with one thing. The story is simple. Keroro built a going into games machine, and just like the name implies, it's a machine you use to go into games with. There's also some other stuff happening, but who cares about that when you got a going into games machine? I don't even know what game I would go into if I had such a machine. What about you? Which game would you enter? Least obvious common bait. Any of the games I would pick would out me as a total weirdo. So don't be afraid to get abstract and obscure with your picks, because I will totally understand you. You know what I love? When streaks get broken, except if they're good ones like your favorite team never losing. On my streak of taking a shower daily. Now you might think, wow, that's bad for your skin or hair, but it's not. It really depends on your skin type and also hair type. For some it's not bad, for others it is bad. This game breaks the streak of a simple little studio only making a certain franchise. It's kinda funny to look at. Tales of here, tales of there, and here's a little Keroro RPG in between. It evokes the feeling of booting up RPG Maker and making your own world on a world map because, well, how could you not remember those times when seeing this? I don't mean that in a bad way, it's so generic in the best way possible when you haven't seen it in a while. Meeting an old friend and realizing how much you have missed them and forgetting about it again when you leave them for a while till you repeat it. Unless you play old classic JRPGs all day long. Sometimes I wish I would still have my unfinished RPG Maker projects throughout the years, but sadly they're all gone. One of my dreams was it to make a good enough game that it would end up on the Bravo Screen Fun DVD, because they sometimes would put some onto their disc, like Vampire's Dawn, probably the most successful German RPG Maker game. Nowadays they're fairly generic RPGs, but back then it made you think, holy shit, this was made by a single guy in his basement? The combat system is like the classic Tales of games, which is more like a simple little beat 'em up, where you are allowed to beat up anything you want in real time instead of having to wait for your actions. Having to block and do all that stuff by yourself, just like what you have to do when you move out and suddenly life feels way harder. You really underestimate how much paperwork life is about till you have your own place. So you should stay at home. Live with mommy, daddy, grandparents, I don't know, just stay at home. It's a neat little game, but the problem is that there's a whole bunch of dialogue since it's an RPG, and those tend to have many words and sentences, and too bad that I can't read Japanese. Keroro often lives through its visual gags, but those do not really exist here. Gags you would understand since they don't require words. You can still enjoy it for the combat, but it's text heavy, so you may just sit there and smash through the dialogue. One day I will learn Japanese, surely. I totally don't say this since I'm like 14 years old, and now I'm already 64. Time flies. You know what does not require an understanding of a language? A minigame collection, especially when they show you what buttons to press on the screen. Even if there's a cute girl on the bottom screen trying to distract you while she's cheering you on. You are her uncle after all if you're Keroro, despite not being related by blood. And her easily being able to destroy Pekopon in one hit. And her also being actually white, but she just yawned the Howl Gyaru look from a random girl with aggression problems. That episode made me a bit sad. Did you know that her cousin is in Soul Calibur 4? The mangaka designed a character for it and just decided to also put them into his manga after to make her canon. I miss those kind of guest characters, instead of just using really popular characters or the same ones over and over. In this minigame, for example, you just run away from a steamroller, wow JoJo reference, by pushing the stylus on the bottom screen and try not to run into any bombs while collecting coins to fuel Keroro's gunplay addiction. Armpits. Wow. Every minigame has 3 stages that you are kinda required to beat because you also need coins to buy more minigames. So fuck those stupid mechas since we have to pay with the same coins for them. Please do not hurt me for saying that. Gundam is pretty cool after all. Then you can play Doodle Jump, which is kinda boring. Not every minigame can be a hit after all. Every single one of them has a few that make you think, I don't want to do this one. The next one is a Mario Bros. 3 reference to the Tout House, but without any of the dumb randomness. While also making a reference to the Wanted minigame for Mario 64 DS or New Super Mario Bros. DS. Obviously many things have Wanted posters in them, but it's too on the nose, I think. Don't try to do the boss baby joke with me here. The fishing one just straight up sucks and I don't want to talk about it. Keroro's little shooting game is fun at least. You blow shit up and go behind cover whenever you're the one being blown up. There's a bunch of more minigames because otherwise it would have been a scam, but I didn't play it for longer. Not the worst minigame collection ever made, but also not the best. At least the sprite work is cute and all. You look at it and smile a bit because you can feel the love behind it when these frogs do silly faces. There's a second one that I liked a bit more because it has air hockey. I love air hockey. I will always be up for a match of it. So if we somehow ever meet up, take me to an arcade to play it. I will even do really bad bets for me, like doing anything you want for a day, because I'm confident I can't be beat at it. So I wouldn't even be afraid to lose those kind of bets. They even learn from their mistakes. This time minigames are just unlocked by playing the story instead of having to buy them. And gunpla models are gotten after each minigame, and instead the gachapon machine has other figurines in them. I love gacha. I play 5 of them on my phone and always do my dailies like a good boy, yay. I actually don't. Please don't think I'm a slave to mobile games. Or else you will have to throw more opinions into the trash even harder. Also, they knew they cooked some delicious armpit dinner with these animations and reused it for the running hurdle game where you have to scratch the bottom DS screen and scratch up to the button to jump. I knew a person who owned a third-party stylus and it was really terrible so it left actual scratches on the bottom screen with it. This game would have destroyed it in one single go. Also playing this with Tamama felt a bit wrong since he hates her and would not give it his all if she cheered him on. Again, an okay minigame collection depending on how much you enjoy the games. It's time for my 2 favorite games that are actually really good jumping ones. Because they are also Klonoa-likes. At least if you play as Keroro, because you can grab enemies and use them to bounce to higher places or throw them at other enemies. So just for that they're both base, but even aside from that they're solidly solid. Everyone has their own little gimmick moves like how Tamama can push and punch big blocks, Keroro has his grenades and gun straight switches that otherwise can't be hit, and Kululu can brainwash enemies so you can use them as platforms. They're nothing mind-blowing, but I can finally say that I could recommend them even to people who are not fans of the show because, like I said, they're solidly solid, like a good desk made out of wood instead of the ones from IKEA where it's really easy to punch a hole into. I never did that myself, but I saw enough Rage compilations back in the day from streamers doing that. Get yourself a good desk and you will never have to buy another one. That goes for many things in life. One big buy is always better than buying cheap shit and having to rebuy it again after a couple of years. Even though my desk was cheap as hell too. The second one also gives you special moves together with the owners and they're pretty cool. In general, the second one just kinda has it all. Better graphics, better moves, better level design and all that. So if you only want to play one of them, pick that one. It's like being the second child from your parents, so you will be the one getting spoiled. Last and also least, there was a kart racer game on the GBA. Just like Arena Brawlers, it's a solid choice to make to spend the least amount of money possible to make a game from a franchise for pure profit. I wish there would be more anime racers. There's almost nothing on that front. Imagine a Shonen Jump kart racer, the possibilities. Hopefully they won't try to use the same art style as Jump Force again, otherwise I do not want it. Let's make an anime fighter, but let's try to make it realistic. People will love that, right? They really did hire that man. You know a game is kinda boring when the guy in the video talks about anything but the game, but look at it, it's just really slow and also only the frogs. The first track also looks like the Mario Circuit from Super Circuit. I hate the word circuit. And I also do not like 2D racers for the most part, sorry to say, except for Konami Crazy Racers. That one is great. From all the ones I've played on the GBA, I would pick that one as the best. The game is just so slow that it's hard to feel any fun, and the items are also nothing special because they all do the things you know from Mario Kart, They even got bananas. It also has HP like F-Zero and little bars sometimes on the map where you can get it back. Or not. I don't know why it worked and then it also didn't work. You don't lose when you hit 0 HP, but every time you get hit by anything, you get stunned for a bit. There were a couple of more games like typing games, but what's the point of showing those? I wouldn't even be able to type in a single word. And some mobile game stuff that obviously by now is dead and buried. That's how that market goes. You either become a golden goose or you crash and burn fast and have to shutter down the windows. That's life for all of us in a way. The only way to keep a mobile game alive for long is to hit a very specific market or well, make the girls as hot as possible. Even Nintendo knows that with Fire Emblem Heroes. I would play a Xenoblade Gacha game. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night or whatever fits your time zone. So in the end, Keroro's games were somewhere in the middle, kinda. Some okay, some even being good, and some being shit. A lot of people would describe their life like that. But your life always has the potential to become better, so do not give up. You wanna know how to better your life instantly? Watch the anime. In a perfect world, this and Ape Escape would go on forever, without their quality getting worse, unlike something like The Simpsons. But to be honest, The Simpsons were always unfunny, so it's not like they actually got worse. Bye bye.